We don't have time for the hey boo, none of that. We are going to learn how to do our hair in 2025. That we are going to kick off the month with is clip-ins. You guys know I love creating beauty on a budget, and the good thing about these clip-ins is that they're only $60. Yes, they are affordable, but they also blend really well with your natural hair as well. And I decided that I wanted to do just a regular middle part for today's style. That is usually one of the easier styles to do whenever you do clip-ins. Clip-ins are generally easy to do, but the biggest thing you want to make sure that you're doing right is making sure that you're placing your tracks correctly. The parting of your hair does not have to be perfect, so here you see that I've parted out my hair, and the biggest thing that you want to make sure you're doing is just making sure that your tracks are flat enough. Now before you go and adding the clips, one thing you want to make sure is that you flatten out the kinky curly clip-ins, because they will leave waves in your hair whenever you're installing them, and the textures will not blend, so make sure that you straighten these out. Now here I'm just showing you that whenever you're installing your clip-ins, they need to snap open before you put them in your hair. I know that seems like common sense, but a lot of people don't know that. Now since we're getting into this first track, you are going to see me clipping the hair from root to root, and that's just because I like to wear my hair in ponytails and don't want the tracks to show. And once you have that first clip-in installed, let's go ahead and do a pull test, and this is just going to make sure that the clips are not easily falling out and that you install them properly. And hopefully you were able to get that first clip-in installed properly, and now we're going to go ahead and move on to installing that second clip-in. Go ahead and start parting out your hair. Remember, like I said, it does not have to be perfect. Just make sure that with this one, at least it's half an inch above that first clip. Remember, the clip-in itself just needs to lay flat. The parting on it doesn't really matter a whole lot. You just want to make sure that it's somewhat straight. The placement of this track is going to be just a little different, so if you're paying attention, you can see that whenever I'm clipping in this track in particular, it is not going to be all the way to the root, because when I'm pulling up my hair, I want to leave out just a little bit of hair to cover that track in case I'm putting it up. Once you have that clip-in finally installed, just go ahead and do another pull test like I said before, just to make sure that it's secure. Okay, so that clip-in is good to go, and now we're going to go ahead and start parting our hair again to install that third clip-in. We're going to have more hair covering this clip. I'm going to clip from end to end and also root to root. I usually feel a little bit more comfortable doing it that way for that third clip, because we have the perimeter of our hair that's going to cover these actual tracks itself. Okay, so the placement of this track is going to be just a little different. That's simply because we want to make sure that we're covering our tracks as best as possible. Parting of this clip-in, it's going to be directly in the center and at least less than half an inch above that clip-in you just installed. And this track is going to go from end to end and root to root of that part itself. And this is just because our next track is going to be from ear to ear, so you don't want any weird spacing in the hair. And we finally made it to the 3-prong clip-ins, which means that we're halfway done with this style. Before you start parting for your actual part itself for the clip-in, go ahead and make sure that you part out some hair in the perimeter, so that way you can easily hide those clip-ins. So now you should be parting your hair from ear to ear, and then once you have your hair parted from ear to ear, go ahead and tie it up, so that way that those extra hairs aren't getting in the clip itself. Now remember, those extra hairs that we pulled out in the front, those are not going to be clipped in, so go ahead and add your clips from ear to ear, but make sure that you're leaving out that extra hair. And I want you to get in the habit of doing a tug test just to make sure that the hair is secure. We are going to be doing a middle part. I'm going to go ahead and start by parting my hair down the middle. The track placement is going to be pretty much the same for most of these clips. So what you're going to go ahead and do is make sure that you pull out the perimeter of your hair, and similar to that previous clip-in, you're just going to go ear to ear, making sure that you leave out the front. Once you have enough hair left out, you can go ahead and start placing your tracks. You can use the 3 or 2 prong clip-in. I'm just going in with the 2 prong and placing it from one ear to the middle, and then I'm going to place that next track on the other side the same way. And once you have that clip-in finally secured, you can go ahead and just do a check just to make sure that the coverage is good enough for you. And as we're moving on to the next track, we're just making sure that we have enough hair parted out in the front. And then this one is still going to go directly above the ear. and we're gonna go ahead and bring it all the way to the middle again. I do have fine hair in the front of my head, so I try and place my tracks at least directly at my root, but if not, a little bit beneath the root is still okay. When I was doing this clip, I noticed that my clip-ins were still a little curly, so I'm gonna go ahead and take my flat iron and I'm just gonna go through it a few times just to make sure that I reduce the amount of times that I have to straighten my hair and the clip-in itself. Before we get any further to the front of our heads, I'm going to make sure that we add an additional clip like we did before in the center, just to make sure that we have good coverage on our hair whenever we're wearing certain styles. You see me here taking a clip and clipping it from root to root directly in the middle of my head. Once that is finally secured, now we're going to start moving on to the front of our hair, and we're going to take our time with this because, like I said before, this is what people actually see. The key to installing the clips in the front of your hair is just to make sure that you leave out your edges, but you also do a coverage test like I'm doing here, just to make sure that you can't see that track. Once that hair looks covered, then you can go ahead and start clipping in the rest of it to the middle of your head. Once you finally have that secured, just make sure that you're doing a coverage test before anything else. You see me going in and flattening out these clip-ins again, but please don't be like me. Go ahead and take those extra 10 to 15 minutes to just straighten out the clip-ins, and that way you can avoid any extra heat damage if possible. As you can see here, there's still a little bit of curl left in the hair even after I've gone over it once or twice. So just go ahead and take that extra time to do it before you start installing these clip-ins. And I love when my hair is really sleek, so you're gonna see me straightening out my hair just to make sure that I can get it as sleek and straight as possible. I finally finished going over that side, and I know the hair is not completely straight, but at least it blends a little bit better than before. Now we're just completing the same steps that we did on the other side, so go ahead and part out your hair, and if the hair is still a little curly, go ahead and press that out now so you don't have to worry about it when you go to install those clips. Okay, so none of these steps have changed. They're still going to be the same. So you're going to take this track and you're going to go ahead and clip it from the root of the front of your head to the middle, but just make sure that you're leaving out your edges like we did before. And I finally secured that last track. So now I'm going to go ahead and just straighten out my hair, and this is where we get into styling. So we're going to go ahead and style this hair. Once I am done straightening out my hair, I do go ahead and just spray my hair with some regular hairspray. Now you can use any type of hairspray. The whole purpose is to give your hair just a little bit of shine, but also laying down your natural hair. We are going to go ahead and continue styling, but I will add one thing, that you can use just a regular headscarf to tie on your hair. This will also give your hair a straight look as well, so either one works. Either hairspray or scarf will give you a natural look. And I finally just decided just to do a natural behind the ear look, nothing special. So it's still a middle part, just with the hair tucked behind the ear. Just because I did the ear tuck, that does not mean that this is the style that you have to go with. You have so many options when it comes to this particular style. So please don't be afraid to have fun with it. You can style your hair in a ponytail as you see me doing here. I will admit that one of my favorite styles to do is just a regular claw clip, nothing too fancy, but it still looks good, and this style only costs you $60 to do. So I'm definitely going to be making a video about all of the different styles that you can do with these clip-ins, because you and I both deserve to look good on a budget. So make sure you guys stay tuned to my styling videos of how I do different hairstyles with these clip-ins, and y'all know I'm not gonna leave y'all hanging about where you can get these clip-ins from, so they definitely will be linked in this video. If you have any other video suggestions that you'd like to see, definitely comment them below. But thank you guys for watching, and I'll see y'all in my next video.